Blessings, fellow travelers into the mythical world. I'm Peter Fay, and today I was led to tell you a story about a principle and an expression of my journey deeper into the Mythica. Now, in the Mythica, I teach Akasha Yoga, the yoga of story, the yoga of relationship and of space, such that we can understand the nature of our journey to the heaven on earth paradigm in terms of the structure of the creation, and how we can learn to better embrace our timeline and movement to a brighter reality of awakening. In this, Yeshua and I use our stories to express a principle that is constant throughout all of the physics of the quest, a principle of manifestation, a principle of forgiveness, some form of applied natural law that, when understood through its unique expression, can be applied in your life. And we do this by witnessing the real mythopoetic journey of our adventure across the Akasha, deeper into the embodiment of our own mythical selves, living inside the landscape of that mythopoetic realism, where the proof is the manifestation on our journey. So in today's episode, I'm going to talk about the principle of manifestation and divination, and the expression as it occurred through mine and Yeshua's timeline from my point of view. Behind us is the tiny temple. The tiny temple is a majestic Bali-inspired place which we were led to on the quest, in which we had nothing. No money, barely any people recognizing us, actually just enough money to rent a car and live in Carnia, the magical parking lot of Narnia, and sleeping on the beaches of Paia, in which we were constantly doing invocations, constantly doing divinations, constantly doing magics of changing the inner landscape of the impressions and the substance of the Akasha that make up our particular characters in the theater of the human condition, our characters in the great story. We were working with the substance of those characters on a fundamental level with manifestation techniques, with forgiveness techniques, with divination techniques, in order to feel the vibration of what we will. Remember, we had no money. We had nothing. We were constantly doing the techniques to gain access to the idea of the inspiration, to meet the people, to be led in circumstance for the thing to unfold. And through application of the techniques, we manifested the tiny temple, a place that had come to us that was in alignment with the much larger harmonic of a community by which we could be received, a way that we could publish the Mythica, remember, coming from the street, or in this case, the beach. This is the nature of the principle and the expression, in which the Aina is showing us the light of heaven on earth, and the sacred rain is also a part of the expression. You see, it was through our relationship with the land, through our relationship with the lands of the self and the lands of the Akasha, that we were able to make our way through all of the potential realities that we could have to the tiny temple, to a Balinese-styled mythical temple on wheels in Maui, in an environment of beings who loved and appreciated us. How does that happen? How does one arrive in such circumstances? How does one end up in the majestic version of their life? Joining us live now is Yeshua Lucis, who, while completely unprepared for this, is ready to share his story of how to get to the temple.
At the helm. Yeah, well, what an interesting unfoldment, because we had to constantly hold the tone as if it was already happening while working through the subconscious patterns inside the self, recognizing the axiom of as within, so without, that in order to shift the manifestation, we had to become the frequency at which that would happen, while trusting that we would be led to where we were meant to be, where we encountered the fellowship that led us to the temple in the context of a actually very magical unfoldment of circumstances in synchronicity.
As I recall, we were living in Carnia, wandering through Paia, holding the tone of the manifestation. If you know, you can put it. I can take this off. If you want to put that on? You want to put your thing on? I'll match you.
Are you feeling more wild or are you feeling more royal?
I love
They're
that
kind of
thing.
the same.
I'm so glad I gave that to you. It's like so fitting.
Yeah, it's from
on
the
you.
realms of fairy.
Yeah, man, that was so good.
Before fairy worlds.
Remember when you asked me, you're like, "Do you have any sparklies?"
Yeah, the idea came to me. Oh, well, this was that morning. I was looking at like my current wardrobe, and I was like, "Man, well, we want to go to fairy worlds." And I'm like, and I remember this desire came to me to shift more into my elvish aspect.
Right.
Of all times, right? And then the inspiration came, and then I remember asking you, and you're like,
as a matter of fact, I do. Like, out of all the places, and the bags of my remaining clothes were in the storage thing of Wind and Keep.
Exactly.
Which is also an expression of the principle that you will receive the right idea at the right time, which will lead you to the right thing, which is another story in the Mythica. Yet, the manifestation of the temple, just trying to stay on one thread, right? Was so interesting because we had been moving through the town of Paia, and we had encountered a man who we performed a healing with. And in the process of performing the healing, he felt led to give us the temple that he had rented, which he left after 2 weeks. Which is really kind of crunching the whole thing of that story just to a quick narrative.
Yeah.
In which we were traveling through Paia, we met someone, we offered them the magic of the healing, and then in a sense of gratitude, they later, about a month later, or a couple of weeks later, told us that we were to be able to stay in this temple, which actually we had had a vision of beforehand whilst traveling through the story.
Yeah, we had been led to Mandala Creations, where there's a photo of us pointing at this temple. Actually, Satya's showing us the photo of this temple.
Which we shot because we're diligent mythical journalists.
And then we're like, of all possible places, this is the exact style of home that we wanted to manifest into.
Completely.
We had that conversation. We had no idea we were going to be led here.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the nature of the thing. Let's see if we bring the camera forward a bit. You know, that is the nature of the thing itself, where we're sharing with beings. So now as we share this story with you, this is like one of the first videos we're doing in this way. We're saying the principle is you can manifest a brighter reality, a mythical reality. The expression of the principle happened on our timeline in the context of us doing constant manifestation, visualization, so-and-so work, in which the divination occurred when Satya Douglas showed us the tiny temple. We witnessed a photo of it on our timeline through the Mythica, and then were eventually led through circumstance to its very manifestation from where we publish to you now, saying that how did we end up in this magical reality? How did we run into Satya at that time? How did we meet that person in the streets of Paia? All of these things are the nature of manifestation. Which we show you in Akasha Yoga and prove through the stories of the Mythica. I'm good. I feel complete. You?
Okay. Thanks for bringing me into it.
Oh, totally. Thank you.